Cheers! And welcome back, or welcome to Netball Natter. For those of you who are new here, because slowly we're growing.
Slowly but surely we're getting more followers.
I'm Lucy.
And I'm Sarah.
And we'll give you a weekly update of all the NSL games that have just happened and our thoughts on the games, as well as just giving you a little life update as well. So how's your week been outside of netball?
Week has been good. I did a mini hen do, which was quite good fun with a couple of the girls.
Because just one hen do isn't
One
enough.
is never enough. You always need a couple just to sprinkle in there because it is just so much fun being a bride. So yeah, that was
You're only
really
a bride
good.
once.
I'm only one, so
well, that's
yeah,
what we hope.
yeah. Sorry, Jay. So yeah, the mini hen was like really nice. It was good fun to do that. But I had an embarrassing encounter, right?
Gosh.
So I went on a run and I got a bramble stuck in my shoelace.
Oh yeah!
And I cut my calf
It looks like she's been mauled by a bear.
It does. It's actually quite bad. And then I had to go for my laser appointment today and they were like, we can't laser this because they were like, yeah, because it's like open wounds. They refused to laser it. So now I'm going to have a hairy bag on my calf.
So they did it everywhere else?
Yeah,
but
that. So I can have a hairy back of my calf.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my week. How was yours?
Mine was good. What did I do? I went to James's granddad's and
Nice.
we cleaned his guttering.
Lovely.
And built a, well, I say we, I mean
The
James
royal
did
we.
this, yeah. And then we had a barbecue, so...
Oh. And
that
we
was
forgot, we went paddleboarding
paddleboarding,
on Friday.
yeah,
It was
we
such
did.
a wholesome Friday.
It was lovely. And for those in the UK, it's been a bit of a heat wave, so...
Dreamy. It's
I mean,
been
I
so
don't know
nice.
if you've noticed the slight tan, the slight golden glow here.
The slight red tinge, freckles. I got that sun-kissed look.
But yeah, I've been spending quite a lot of time paddleboard. I spent 6.5 hours out on the water just chilling by myself.
I'm so jealous.
I was like, that's not really a me thing to do. I'm not usually an independent woman, but I thought I'll take my three bottles of water and a pint of beer, because everyone's got to have
a little cheeky beer when you paddleboard.
Exactly. And it was a bloody marvellous day.
Oh,
if I do say so
good.
myself.
Good.
Yeah. But no, other than that, brilliant week. And then we obviously came back to the flipping jam-packed weekend full of netball.
Oh my God, the extra time, left, right and centre.
Well, we kept on saying we wanted extra time and flipping 2 games.
My
came
heart
along
did
at
not want
once.
extra time. My heart was through the roof. I was doing a U. I was like jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And then you think a game is done. And then you're like, oh, we've got extra time. And we've got 2 hot. And the super shot is played the whole way through the extra time as well. Some teams that absolutely favoured, some it did not.
Yeah. Stress levels were through the roof. But
should we jump in?
Yeah, I
this is
thoroughly enjoyed
cracking,
it. I'm
yeah.
ready to relive it. Starting off with the Friday game, which was our big game, which actually now looking back at it, I'm not taking away from it, but it was definitely the most boring game out of the whole weekend. No, I'm joking. It was still a cracker.
I think the others were just such
So
thrillers
intense.
and like so much controversy.
Yeah.
I can't say that
Controversy.
word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But no, let's get into this because it was still a cracker of a game. So,
yeah, some nice moments in there and some really good plays by some players. Yeah.
So Thunder versus Lightning. This was they were second and third in the table, and I believe the only difference was goal difference because they were on the same amount of points, same amounts of wins and losers and things.
Okay.
So this was a real close clash.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit chaotic at times, if I'm being honest. There were calls going questionable ways, but I think one thing that we're always told, even at my level, which is low,
Hey, don't put yourself down.
is never argue with the umpire. Just if that's their call, that's their call.
Yeah.
And I felt like from both teams, some players were trying to argue with the calls and it meant that they weren't ready, they weren't set up for then a defensive play, and you know, maybe they wouldn't have got a tip or a turnover or whatever, but at least you're putting that, you know, pressure on the pass. So I was a little bit like, come on, let's not argue, because it's a game of netball at the end of the day. It's just a game of catch, as Philippi Arrington told us. But yeah, there was some scrappy moments. I thought more so from Thunder towards the end of the game. Just a few unforced errors that are very uncharacteristic for them. I think they're such a tight-knit team, but we were definitely seeing a few loose balls and a few sort of, not sure about that. There was also some hesitancy. One of the commentators said it, and I really like it. If you see a pass, give it. Don't hesitate. There's certain times where you want to pause, wait for the defender to fly out and then go. Yeah. If you see that pass, give it. Yeah. And I thought that was definitely something that Thunder were struggling with at points in the game.
Which is very unlike them as a side. They're very quick to feed off and play the ball down through the court. And I think that is a strength of theirs.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
absolutely. So I think it's just credit to the defence of Lightning. I thought Van der Merwe just had flies here, there and everywhere, and maybe it was her flies that they knew, she was coming in. She gained player of the match for this game, and she got it last time when they played against Thunder. So yeah, real credit to her. Harvey was having a phenomenal game, I thought, in goalkeeper. I thought she really shut down Van der Berg. She used her outside arms on so many occasions and got so many tips because of that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought bodies were being put on the line by Cobden and Panigari, especially in the final quarter. I think there was a point where they basically just belly slid across the court, both of them, and I was like, oh, okay.
This is what we need to be doing in our netball. Yeah, the outside court would be like, graze your chin.
Yeah, they wanted the ball and they got the ball.
Fair play.
But yeah, some great play also from Thunder. I thought Emma Rayner, she wants the ball, and so she offers perfect positioning in terms of she finds spaces, and if you're giving her the ball, it's going to be on. She's never going to offer you a pass that she doesn't think she's going to get. Yeah. And I really like that. I thought, again, defensive dream from Huckle and Smith in their sort of defensive circle. Yeah. They were getting so many tips, so many, just putting doubt in the feeder's mind from Lightning, and just arms for days. Wow. Brilliant. And I do think that was then reflected throughout the court for Thunder, because the full court press where you've got arms over ball when Lightning had possession was really working at some points in the game. But unfortunately for them, Lightning took the win. But yeah, I just thought it was not what we would usually expect from Thunder.
And we thought this game was going to be, obviously it was a pretty close game. It finished 65-53, but it's not actually pretty close. I lied. It's not a close game at all. And it was Loughborough stormed ahead at the end. Yeah. And I think shooting success, Loughborough sitting at 89 versus 86. So great to see both teams in the high 80s. The key point here, which I would say is very uncharacteristic of Manchester Thunder, is they put up 5 super shots, whereas Lightning put up 14.
But I think that was the work on that Harvey was doing on Van der Berg, because she's usually the super shot shooter, and the fact that she was being shut down so well is just credit to Harvey and Van der Merwe in the defensive end of Lightning. It was so good. So yeah, I really thought that was good. And we're seeing more of Wallace Joseph as well. And I thought she had a really good game. She was holding space so well. And although I spoke about Josie Huckle being such a good defender with arms for days, genuinely, I just don't know how you stop a good holding shooter. Yeah. I hate playing against a holding shooter because I don't know what to do.
It's hard. She's Samuel Wallace-Joyce is sitting at 88% shooting accuracy across the whole series so far, sinking 105 shots. And then you've got Ella Clark and Berry. Ella's put up 121, sitting at 77%, and Berry's actually put up 82 and is sitting at 77% accuracy as well. So interesting. Obviously, Sammy Wallace-Joseph hadn't had as much court time as the two of them, but she's obviously that dominant holding shooter. But I do think in that final quarter, Ella really stepped up with sinking those super shots and really kind of changed the game quite a bit.
I think Sammy's more of a target, whereas Ella and Berry work really well as a rotational circle. And so they're very used to having Mary Trollock in the circle, where they can just sort of kind of fling the ball in and it goes straight into their Velcro hands. And I feel like that's what they've got with Sammy Wallace-Joseph. But yeah, not taking away from Ella Clark or Berry Neal at all. I still think they're great shooters, but yeah, a real target for Lightning. But yeah.
And what was really interesting in the game is, in terms of super shot accuracy, Berry Neal sank super shots 7 from 7, 100%. Ella Clark was 2 from 2, and Sammy Wallace-Joseph was 5 from 8, sitting at 63%. So pretty good stats compared to Manchester Thunder, who Vandenberg was sitting at 50%, Malik was 50%, and Williams was 67%.
Yeah.
So proof's in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding. But yeah, a good start to the first game, the weekend of round 8.
Saturday kicked off with London Mavs versus the Cardiff Dragons. This game finished at 72-61, but as I'm sure we were all watching, this was edge of the seat stuff, this game, up until the extra time.
Well, actually, to contradict that, Cardiff Dragons was ahead by 10.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is their first win. They've got this in the bag.
But never say never. That was third quarter, and the fourth quarter turned it all on its head.
Insane.
I was so excited when I first started watching this game because I feel like the Dragons are well overdue a win. And they came out hot. They were sat at 15-13 at the end of quarter 1. Genuinely, I thought everyone was putting in a shift. Everyone was working hard. Defence were working well. Attack were working well. They were being really smart on when to play the super shots, when to go for the 1-point game. We then went into the second quarter. Dragons were 29-24 to the Mavs. Again, I was like, they are looking solid. There was no fault. I felt like the Mavs were lacking a little bit on the shooting accuracy. I don't think it was quite as strong as it was or has been. I don't know. I felt like the Emily, Andrew and the Thacker combo wasn't quite working for me. And I think when Rothwell came in, that was a really positive step in the right direction for them, made a big difference. And I actually really liked it. Later on in the game, we saw Thacker go into goal shooter, and it was really nice to see her in that position because she's got a very different movement style, and I think for this style of game, the pace that Dragons were playing at, they almost needed her to sit back and be a little bit more of a holding, less kind of movement, and they needed Kira Rothwell to be the one that's cutting and the faster drives out front.
Yeah, I thought it caused confusion between Jackie Newton and Alex Johnson. Alex was, I don't know, she was winning the battle against Emily, and so something needed to change, and I thought that was a really good call from Camilla Buchanan for
100% game changer. Quarter 3 finished 42-42. So, I mean, at one point, as you said, there was a 10-goal difference, and I thought, amazing. Like, you can have a couple of errors in there and you'll still be ahead. Yeah. But no, that finished 42-42. The difference in this one, as we said, was Rothwell coming on. Thacker and her and that combo were just sinking the super shots. I think the Dragons were starting to put some of the super shots up and they just weren't sinking. And then there was a few fumbles of the ball, a few kind of errors kind of creeping in, and you can have a couple, but to go from a 10-goal lead to then drawing, like, I almost feel like tactical timeout should have been called there and been like, right, get your head screwed back on, girls. We are 10 up, or we're 8 up, or we're 6 up, or whatever it is in that moment. A timeout should have been called in that moment because Mavs, the momentum was just with them. And I don't know what happened there.
Speaking of like super shots, stats are insane. So the Cardiff Dragons shot 4 super shots, and I think all of them were from Philippa Yarrington. Yeah. We saw Rowe trying to put up a few, and that's great that she's confident enough too, but she just wasn't sinking them. However,
they were air balls, weren't they? And she has a really low, for such a tall shooter, she has such a low shooting style, and it just wasn't. It wasn't on for those twos.
And then London Mavericks put up 13 super shots, and that's where they got it back, because without the super shots, Cardiff Dragons would have been 53 and London Mavs would have been 46. So an easy win to Dragons there. But just because they haven't sussed out how to continue ticking over their scoreboard with a 1-point game and Mavs are coming back at them with super shots, that's where they lost it.
Yeah, and when you look at the data on the super shots pieces, because we went into extra time here, your Emily Andrews taken off was sitting from 1 from 2. Emma Thacker put up 11 and sank 9 of them in the super short time. I mean, that is pressure like no other, and she was just sinking. And then you've got Kira Rothwell that came on that shot 6, landed 4. Like, those stats are impressive. And then when you look at the Dragons, Georgia Rowe put up 2, sank none, and then you've got Yarrington put up 7, landed 4, and you almost need, like, Beard was on the bench. Why was Beard not put on for those extra time moments? I know it's a trade-off. Like, do you have a Georgia Rowe that's probably more likely to get the rebound or can catch the ball if it's going off the side, or do you go for your 2 shooters that are going to sink the super shots? Because Yarrington was just they just double marched. Like, Rowe was just free as a bird to take the super shot, but no, they didn't even bother putting any like pressure on the shot. They just waited on Yarrington because they knew that the offload, the choice would be to go across to her. I think in the extra time, I think the wheels fell off a little bit for the Dragons. I think the Mavs stepped up and they suddenly got their game face on, and they went from starting very slow to building. And then for me, player of that match was definitely Thacker. She had a blinder of a game and pulled them through for that win with the amount of super shots. And I just felt sorry for the Dragons, but there was like silly errors, like they'd played such a strong game of possession, short, fast passes is what their strength was, and then it was like silly balls going off the court, like not the right passes. And I think the pressure in that moment of, I guess they're desperate for a win, I think they just crumbled under it, unfortunately.
Speaking of errors, it was quite a high unforced error count from both teams. So Mavs got 15 and Dragons got 17. That's not what you want to see within a game that's going to be this close. We're used to seeing, Pulse and Lightning at sort of 2, 3, 5 unforced errors in a game. But 17, that's something they need to work on, definitely.
Yeah. Sunday was a spicy little game. This was Forest versus Pulse.
Well, Sunday in general, but yes, let's
ease
Forest.
ourselves in before the heart rates get up a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So this is Forest versus Pulse that finished 69-59 to Forest. You normally are a Forest gal and back them all the way.
No!
And we both went Pulse. Yeah, we both went Pulse because we were like, they're undefeated. Their reign is looking so good.
I thought I backed it.
No, you did not on this one. Unless my memory is incorrect.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah, we both went Forest. Pulse on this one.
I backed Forest. Thank you very much.
Did you?
Sorry, just VAR on this.
I swear you said you were going to go.
No, because I said I'm a Forest girl through and through.
Oh, damn it, you did, didn't you? Dang it. Okay. No.
Yeah, we both backed Mavs.
I think she's cheating. She's changed it.
No.
So this for me was just an absolute masterclass by Forest. Like, Bloominack, this was incredible. I don't have a bad word to say about the Forest team at all. I think every single player stepped up. Everyone was phenomenal. Couple of standouts I know you always talk about and you love them so much, but Christian and Leighton, they were insane. The amount of turnover.
Christian stopped the whole game. Just insane.
So
Tips halfway off the court and she's batting it back in. Insane.
It was incredible, and they were all hungry for ball. There wasn't a single ball where there wasn't a Forest person at the end, or at least fighting for it or trying to get the intercept. The movement through the court was insane. The pace of the ball was obviously something they'd worked on, because I think that they know that Adio, Fumi are so quick at kind of coming around the body. They like the aerial game, so they kept their game short, sharp and fast, which made a huge difference. I thought Ria was phenomenal. I thought she did so well. She was a real playmaker.
Yeah!
Out the front, and she was doing such a great job. She was feeding really lovely into Rolene, but she also wasn't afraid to step up and take the shots herself as well, which worked really well.
I am going to say something controversial here. I don't know why she was taken off for that super shot time.
Yeah.
And I think you could see that in the super shot time because they lost possession more times than they had in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Henshaw wasn't being
a single shot.
No, but also wasn't being a playmaker like Ria was.
Yeah.
The ball speed just dropped, and I don't think that was necessarily just because of Henshaw, but there was just one less option. I thought, and I don't think Henshaw was quite driving forward enough for the ball, whereas Ria was very happy to be out of the circle, getting those passes, feeding into Rolene.
Yeah.
And I think you could see that then on the second and third quarter, they didn't necessarily change it up because they had their perfect feeder in Dixon feeding into Rolene. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting move. It didn't pay off in this scenario, but what it did mean is Pulse have not lost a single first quarter across the whole series, and Forest were the team that just put an end to that. Like, how impressive was this game?
So good.
Defensively, Jada was just insane. So good. She was getting around the body. I think she was a big reason why Nicole was taken off the court as well, because Bria, I would say, she ain't going nowhere from the Pulse team. She is staying on, taken off the court. And I do think a big part of that was Jada's movement and Pavlin as well.
Pavlin's game was insane. The amount of intercepts she got, and it always seems to be the last quarter. She's almost turned, and I love her, but I think she's got some competition now. She's almost turned into the Fumi Fudoji.
Oh.
She comes in at the last minute when you need her most.
Yeah.
Pavlin's there.
Yeah.
And just looking at some of the stats. So if we use as a reference point Loughborough versus Thunder as a reference point, as I say, they got 4 and 3 pickups. So Thunder got 4, Lightning got 3 pickups.
Yeah.
This game, Pulse got 12 pickups, Forest got 17.
Wow.
Like, it just goes to show the defensive game and just, I
do think when we think about the Pulse side, I think they were looking a little bit frustrated, and 3 of their players had been called and been like, the first kind of like, watch yourself, getting a little bit of a talking to by the umpire. 3 of their players, and we know that they are quite body on team, they're very defensive as a team, and to have 3 players called out already kind of by this, I think got on their heads a little bit and they were looking frustrated. I do think that Liv wasn't on her game, and I think if Liv isn't on their game and you've not got a shooter in there that's putting up the shots, like, you're going to struggle. Bria couldn't do it all on her own. I don't think taking Bria off was the right decision. I think they should have taken Liv off and put Sophie Kelly on and given the moving circle a little bit of a go and see how that played out, because we know that Jade, I think, is quite good at working against like a static shooter and would have given us something different to think about with a little bit more movement in the circle. So I think that needed to happen, because I do think that Liv just didn't seem on her A game, and she's been phenomenal the whole series, so we can't give her too much of a hard time. But I do think everyone has an off day. This was a real off day for Liv, and it shows you how important having a Liv there for this Pulse team is. So I think, the moving circle could have been a little bit better, and maybe something that they should have tried. I also think that Zara Everett, who normally I would say is a real standout player, she was getting called quite a lot as well, like holding arms, holding players back. And I don't know whether some of this is just frustration coming through that Pulse are undefeated. They are, I guess in their head, they are top of the table. Who can beat us? Who's going to catch us? And suddenly they've got Forest that bit more middle of the table are coming in and absolutely smashing them and beating them by 10 points.
I do think it was a smart decision to take Alicia Scholes off.
Yeah.
Because I think she was getting wound up quite a bit. And she's maybe more one to be... She's
passionate.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell how much she loves the game, but I think sometimes that passion then boils over a little bit too far, and you've got to keep in that, like, happy medium of, like, competitive passion, the aggression coming through.
Yeah.
But it's a really hard space to stay in. I think in this game, I think the frustration was coming through from a lot of players, and I think certainly on Alicia, she bubbled over into.
But I do think when she came back onto the court, it did make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, she's got that speed, she's got that depth into the pockets. She changes direction in, like, my goodness, just insane. And I do think when she came back on the court, Forest did find it a bit more challenging to mark her. I think Hannah Layton definitely was more... I mean, she was still phenomenal, let's be honest here, but still, but definitely had more of a challenge on her hands with Scholes. I just love this game so much.
Yeah, it was such a good one, and I do think when we look at the goal kind of percentages and where everyone was sat, you had Roline sitting at 95% for the single shot game, and from super shot she attempted 12, sank 10 of them. And then you've got, when we think about the pulse side, you've got the 1 point game for Liv was strong. She was sitting at 91, not quite as strong as a Roline, but her attempts for the super shot, she was at 20%. She shot 5 and landed 1, which is just not the stats we're used to seeing with a Liv. Like, Liv is normally topping those tables, so it just wasn't her day. I do wonder, like, could we see a moving circle if Liv isn't having a good day? Like, what else is there options? Because I think Nicole needed to stay on, but with the way that Liv was shooting, almost felt like she almost needed a minute to come off and put a Sophie on. But is that a combo they've tried? I don't know. I would like to see it.
The thing with Roline for me is she gets the ball and she shoots it. It doesn't matter if she's in super shot time and she's in the super shot zone. She won't play it out. She won't play it around the circle. She'll just take the shot. She's got that confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that just gives the rest of her team so much confidence to feed it into her. Whereas even with Liv and Bria, they were moving it around. They were playing it in. They were playing it out.
And that's where Nottingham got so many tips. The bounce passes in. They love a bounce pass, but so does Jada. She's like, throw them in. I dare you. She's getting around. She got so many of those.
And you just need someone to turn and shoot, and that is exactly what Roline does.
Yeah, and normally that is what a Bria, it is what a Liv does. But I don't know what had happened this game. I do genuinely think they Forest were like the underdogs coming into this.
They had nothing to lose.
Yeah, and probably Pulse were going in thinking, we're top of the table, like... Are Forest really going to challenge us? Probably not. And then I think they were shocked by Forest turning up.
Woof. Woof is all I can say. Right. The final Sunday game was Leeds Rhinos versus Birmingham Panthers. And let's just take a minute. Let's just take a second to breathe.
Big breath for this one.
Because... I'm still getting over it.
So much controversy, so much chatter online. Like, this was this is a real big pivotal moment in the Netball Super League, and I'm really interested to see how they respond as part of this as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first 59 minutes. Some standouts for me. Jiva Mentor. She is 40 years of age. She travels 8 hours for every game because she lives in France. And she is near the top of the table in terms of how many games she has to her name. She goes out on court and she performs like she did in this game. She's getting tips left, right and centre. She is not captain, but she is leading the team from the defensive end. She is such an incredible player. I am just fangirling over her at the moment. But I just think she's such a class player. And I love this game for her. And I thought she did great. So just little snaps for Jiva. Ash Decker as well. I thought she brought a real calmness and composure to mid-court. I thought it didn't feel rushed, but ball speed was still very quick. And I thought her relationship with Cassie Howard and Britton, really, really good. And then feeds into the circle. Obviously, we know Joyce is there. We know she's a star shooter. But really, really liked Ash Decker coming in. I mentioned her briefly. Cassie Howard,
she can do no wrong. She's phenomenal.
If she loses the ball, she'll get it back for you. Even if she doesn't lose the ball, she'll get it back for you. She's
one hell of a player who's got one hell of a bright future ahead of her.
And she knows when to adjust her play. So we didn't really hear from her in the first quarter. So she changed her sort of play on Jess Shaw. She came off the body and she went for flies. And that's when she was getting the balls. And my goodness, I just loved it.
Yeah.
She was putting body on the line. She was doing a bit of a Nat Panagari and Beth Cobden. She was flying. And hey, we love that. Just thoroughly enjoyed watching Leeds play. I thought... Now, Harriet Jones was taken off after the first couple of minutes. And I think it was the right decision because... there was a few unforced errors that she made and they were down by quite a bit, maybe because of that. And I'm not saying that the team was, doing bad because of her, but when you make a couple of unforced errors in a row, you want to do something to get it back. And I don't feel like she was doing the Cassie Howard of I'm going to get this ball back for you. And so I thought bringing Sophie on was a brilliant call.
Yeah.
Moving on to Birmingham Panthers, Jazz Brown has come back with a vengeance. She was going out hunting.
Yeah.
She was being a panther. She was hunting. She was coming out of the circle.
The players high if they went out. She was making it hard for them to get back in, have that movement in the circle that they love.
Good.
Yeah, she's really... The progression of her from game one to where she is now has just been amazing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And just... gains under the post as well. I thought her rebounds were insane. In terms of the shooting end for the Panthers as well, both Ziggy Berger was doing what she does best.
Yeah.
She's a holding shooter. She was absolutely just doing what Ziggy does best. I thought Betsy Creek was having an exceptional game, and I do think her strength was shown against Jiva, and that's again not taking anything away from Jiva because she's a star, but I do think Betsy Creek was having a flyer of a game and she was doing so well up against someone like a Jiva mentor. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but let's get into the controversy of it. Now, if I remember correctly, the last sort of 5 minutes of normal game time.
Yeah.
I think what the controversy was Joyce took a super shot and it was only counted for one. Now, when I went back and watched it and obviously witnessed it with you, it was a super shot, but the umpire only put up one of her hands. And so I think that's where then the officials have only counted it as one. And that's why it was then a draw, and then that's why it was then taken to extra time, and obviously that's all that's happened there. They have appealed for it. Leeds have appealed because actually, if it was calculated correctly, they should have won that.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether... Joyce's foot was slightly in the 1 point shot and that's why the umpire's gone one point.
Or was it heat? The moment umpires forgot to put
two up because it's still a new thing.
Yeah.
And that's not we're not criticising the umpire at all. Obviously, new rules, new things, you can get caught up, you can say the wrong thing. And in this case...
We're only human.
Yeah.
But that is where either technology needs to be sitting behind this that is analysing and is able to send a learn, or you've got the third umpire watching this as well. You've also got a whole stats bench where they're all sat there watching it, And I do feel a little bit like it's a shame that this has happened at such a crunch game that's really important for these two teams.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of let down by like, I guess, the officiating. And it's hard as the umpire being there in the moment, but why wasn't this checked? Like, why wasn't it validated? It shouldn't be like reliant on the players.
So this game went to extra time. It then went to extended extra time, and we saw a draw after extra time, and then it was the first to 2 clear goals, which obviously Gabby Sinclair scored a super shot on their centre pass, so already they were technically at an advantage. They were able to score that super shot and they won the game by 2. But yes, lots of conversations happening online.
Yeah.
Jiva Mentor has obviously
been very vocal about it, which
very
I think,
vocal.
Which he would be, because this is the 6th and the 7th place on the table. They've both got 2. Well, I think Rhinos had 2 wins. Panthers must have had 1 win to their name. They're now sitting at both having 2 wins each, and Panthers have got a game in hand.
Yeah.
Like, this was a really critical game for both of these teams, and it's just crazy. Like, how are we getting this wrong? Like, in this professional era, we're like over halfway through the whole series, and I really hope that like we're able to take a learning from this and make sure something like this doesn't happen again, because I'm struggling to see, like, how can you go back from what's just been announced? Like, they've finished the game, they've said the score is a score. How I know they're appealing, but like, what's going to happen? They're not going to give them the win, are they?
Yeah.
Genuinely, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to rectify this? Because the game's been played, the points have been put out. Like, I just don't know what they're going to do. Like, and how are they going to backtrack it?
To get 2 teams to play an extra over 10 minutes of netball, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I know 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's a professional game of netball, that is hard on the body.
Yeah.
And for them to then turn around and say either, Leeds actually won at the end of this game or whatever, it's almost like, well, pointless that it went to extra time.
I just don't know why, when it was the extra time, if people were unsure, why did they rush to carry on?
Yeah.
Like, that should have been like, I don't know whether there should be a rule in place where like teams can challenge a little bit harder and say, no, we want to stop the time here and we want to like actually look into this and get this right. Yeah, it felt just a bit rushed, and like, if people aren't sure, you should
Players
be able to
didn't
challenge.
know what was going on. Commentators
did we celebrate?
didn't
Did we
know.
not? Carnage.
Yeah. But what do you guys think? Let us know. I mean, there's lots of conversations out there already, and I'm definitely going to be going through like Instagram and all the social medias to like see what's happening. But what do you guys think? Do you think it was calculated wrong? Do you think Leeds should have won? Do you think it was fair that the extra time was being played? Let us know what you think.
We'll open up comments. I think we can do comments on this rather than a poll this week, and then let us know what you think, because this is going to be going on for a little while, I think, until we hear what has happened, because it's just an unknown in netball, and it's a real shame that this controversy is kind of coming around the sport rather than celebrating the successes and how well it's going. It's now just turning back to like where netball's going wrong and falling down.
Yeah. Scores on the doors for round 8. Now, obviously, we've got that sort of question mark in the Panthers versus Leeds. We can always rectify it if they change their mind, but we'll go with what it is saying at the moment, that Panthers won and Leeds lost.
Yeah.
So currently, Sarah is on 20 and I am on 15. So I'm not really coming back at all. But we've still got half a season to go. So.
Just under,
So round 9, what are we thinking?
So Friday we have got Panthers versus the Dragons. I really want the Dragons to have a win, but I think the form that Panthers are in at the moment, I'm going to have to go Panthers for me personally.
I'm going to back the Dragons.
Ooh, go on the Dragons.
I'm backing the Dragons.
So that game is at 7:30 on Friday. Saturday, we have got Loughborough Lightning versus Leeds Rhinos. I think you know who I'm going to go for.
You're going Loughborough.
Yep.
Do you know who I'm going for?
Rhinos?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
I guess they're going to be fired up.
They are going to be fiery.
Yeah.
It's going to be spicy. It's going to be good. So
Spice.
Or at least I hope so.
Yeah. Then we have got on Sunday, Mavs versus Pulse, the London derby. Here we go. Oh, it's a tricky one because I think Pulse are going to be rattled after that game.
Yeah.
So they're going to be on the fight mode. But I also think when Mavs show up, Mavs have got potential.
Yeah.
And, oh, God. Do you want to go first?
I'm going Pulse.
Do I have to do this?
You can do same. You can do different.
I'll go different. I'll go Mavs.
Mavs. Okay.
But I do think Pulse are going to get this one, though.
Well, then go Pulse, you silly sausage.
No, we can go separate. It's fine.
Okay. Final game.
You're going to say it before I can. So
Nottingham.
Sunday, Nottingham versus Thunder. Can I go Nottingham too on this one? I'm going to go Nottingham because I also think Nottingham are going to...
But just remember, I am the OG backer of Nottingham. So don't just be jumping on this train now because they've won against the league winners.
We need to also go back to what our original, they say in the Australian league, they always talk about they do a mini series before they start the games as well. And they always say how much can you trust the pre-games before the actual ones. And I would love to go back to our predictions that we made right at the start of who we thought was going to win and how it is now, because it's flipped on its head.
Let us know what you think about round 9. What's your predictions?
But yeah, what we really want to know
is
tell us about the spicy game.
Spicy game.
And what you think of the Rhinos and the Panthers game. Were the right calls made? Drop a comment, and yeah, let's bring it up next week again and see if we've got an update.
Let's natter about it.
Let's have a natter. What a week of netball this has been. It has been, I think we say this every week, it's getting better and better, but genuinely, I don't think there's going to be a week that tops it. And if I'm being honest, I hope there isn't, because I don't think the controversy around the sport is what we want. We want positivity. We want people talking online, because it's nail-biter games that are really close and not errors and mistakes that are kind of happening in the game. But hopefully this is something we can kind of take as a learning as a sport and make sure there's better rules or regulations that sit around this, or how teams can challenge, because this can't happen again. This is not good enough for the sport. But yeah, let us know what you think. As we said, we'll put the comments on, let us know, and we can maybe debate this in a separate episode, or even on next week's one if it hasn't been resolved by then. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what the sport puts out around this.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll definitely keep you all updated on our social medias to see if there's any resolution to it, or any change in the results. So we'll keep your eyes peeled, because we'll definitely keep everything up to date on that. But I guess we'll just see you next week, if not.
See you next week.